Hey guys, welcome back to Lulu is Getting a Sister. Last time we read, Lulu was being beat at every game and every activity by those sneaky twins, Mitzi and Fritzy. So the camp let her switch her little brother and sister for a new little brother. Now, this never happens, but this was a special case because Lulu was having a challenge with the twins. So they switched out for little brother Sebastian. And we're going to find out just how Lulu deals with her new practice brother, Sebastian. So, Chapter 11. Lulu's first few mornings being Sebastian's older sister proved how right she had been when she predicted that she would be beating him all the time at everything: running, swimming, shooting hoops, holding your breath underwater, plus any board game or card game you could think of. Well, what did you expect? The kid was 7 years old and 22 days old. Except he didn't just lose, he was a disaster. A disaster at 1 against 1, and also team sports. So here he is just watching the ball bounce by. And just like Mo Willems, he's using those, or Judith Vorst is using those movement lines to show the motion of the ball. For instance, in all his volleyball games, Lulu was constantly having to call a timeout because he was constantly bleeding and needing a band-aid, because he was constantly skinning both of his knees, because though he constantly tied them, he was constantly tripping over his untied shoelaces. He was also a disaster at most other things, too. So here he is. Lulu's fixing him up. If, for example, he hammered a nail into one of those woodworking projects he was working on, he hammered, along with that nail, one of his thumbs, every time. And furthermore, he couldn't seem to walk through a swinging door without that door swinging back and smashing right into his face. Ugh, here he is being knocked down by the door. And furthermore, when his work assignment was helping to weed the Camp Sisterhood vegetable garden, he pulled out the plants and left all the weeds. And furthermore, each time he carried a breakfast tray over to one of the dining table halls, part of the breakfast tray would always slip right off the tray. And it would splash all over his t-shirt, then splatter all over the floor, after which he would step in it. So here he is, picking all the fruit. The truth is, though it's not nice to say, and I'm sorry to have to say it, Sebastian was a clunky, clumsy, klutzy, and also totally clueless kid. So here's Lulu on a hike with him. Here he is laying under a bush. What's the one word that we always say Lulu is when she puts her hand over her head? She's so, that's right, dramatic. Except, and for this may astonish you, he wasn't. For later that summer, when camp and this story were over, a doctor figured out that Sebastian was having trouble seeing and he needed glasses. After all, after he got his glasses, he wasn't clunky, clumsy, or klutzy anymore, and only just a little clueless, but not totally. The whole reason that he was acting like that when he was with Lulu is because he needed glasses. It would not have made a good story, and would have made Lulu a hero if she had figured out about the glasses, but she didn't. Instead, though she wasn't majorly mean, she also wasn't what you would call a patient and kind kid. And yet, no matter how often she scolded and criticized Sebastian, no matter how often she told him, "Could you just, for once in your life, try to watch where you're going?" Or, "How many times can you make the same mistake?" Sebastian kept saying how lucky he was to have gotten Lulu for an older sister. In fact, believe it or not, and I find this particularly impossible to believe, Sebastian kept insisting that Lulu was maybe the greatest person he had ever met. If a person who isn't your mom or your dad keeps telling you you're the greatest, it's not because, like mom and dads, they have to. The reason they're probably telling you this is because they really truly think you are the greatest. Or maybe it's because they're totally clueless. For all that Lulu had to do was announce with absolute certainty that Anchorage was the capital of Alaska to get Sebastian to say, with awe in his voice and awe in his eyes, "Amazing! Genius! Wow, you know everything!" Well, not exactly everything. The capital of Alaska is actually Juneau. Here's Lulu. Here's a map of Alaska. And if Lulu came to breakfast with her hair in a ponytail instead of straight down, Sebastian would swear that she looked exactly like a Disney princess. Well, Lulu looks perfectly fine, but do me a favor and check out her picture. Now answer me, is that a Disney princess? So he's giving her the sweetest compliments. She looks surprised by them. And when Lulu told Sebastian some silly joke like, "What did the chicken do to cross the road?" Sebastian would laugh till he almost wet his pants, after which he'd declare, and he really meant it, "That's the best joke I've ever heard in my entire life." But Lulu never listened to Sebastian's adoring words. She was way too busy criticizing and scolding him. She never heard his compliments because she was so sure that nothing he could say would be worth hearing. She tuned Sebastian out because she wanted to be finished with Camp Sisterhood, finished with its sibling sweetness stuff, and finished with a kid so absolutely, totally clueless that he had to be told why that chicken crossed the road. Let's see, she's rolling her eyes a little bit. She's annoyed that he keeps falling. She just wants to leave Camp Sisterhood. There's a little side that says camp. It's pointing that way and she's walking the other way. So Sebastian seems to love Lulu, right? Saying all the sweetest things and adoring her. Oh, one of our favorite things that Judith Worth does. Chapter 11 and 1/2. Now, if for some strange reason, like you're from another planet, you don't know why the chicken crossed the road, ask your mom and your dad to give you the answer. I personally think it's way too silly to talk about. So here's the chicken getting ready to cross the road. Chapter 12. I would, however, like to talk about campfire night at Camp Sisterhood. And Lulu would like to talk about it too. So she called up her mom and her dad on Saturday morning, the morning after campfire night, and happily announced, "I'm loving it here." "Loving it, did you say?" asked her mom. "Here as in Camp Sisterhood?" asked her dad. And asked her mom, just to check, "Is this Lulu we're speaking to?" "Yes, it's me," said Lulu, sounding happier by the minute. "It's me. I'm here at Camp Sisterhood, and I love it." Here she is talking to her parents. "And why is that?" asked her dad, who was sounding a funny combination of pleased and confused. "Because," said Lulu, "on campfire night, they teach us how to be bad to our little sisters. Or if we're getting a brother, our little brothers. They teach us how to do things that are definitely not nice, and it's so cool." There must be a misunderstanding," said her dad. "A terrible misunderstanding," said her mom. "We need to telephone Call Me Debbie immediately." So they did. "What," asked Lulu's mom, "is campfire night? And what," asked Lulu's dad, "are you folks at Camp Sisterhood trying to teach our sweet little girl?" So here's Lulu making up a lie about what they're doing at Camp Sisterhood. She told her parents that they're teaching them how to do bad things. This is what the parents are imagining. See the little thinking bubble? Sweet little girl, said Call Me Debbie, but only to herself. And then she explained, on the first Friday night at Camp Sisterhood, there's always a campfire night, and all the sits sit around the campfire toasting marshmallows, while one by one, each of the counselors takes turns telling stories. Oh, said Lulu's mom, just like when I went to camp and everybody told ghost stories. Not exactly, Call Me Debbie replied. These counselors are telling stories about the things they did, things they shouldn't have done to their little brothers and sisters. Ooh, when they were young. Naughty and not so nice things. Bad and beastly things. Things that if I told you, you find shocking. So why in the world, gasped Lulu's mom, unable to go on, are you, continued Lulu's dad, allowing them to tell these terrible stories? So Lulu kind of told the truth. Basically, they're all sitting around the campfire and they're telling stories of things they shouldn't have done. But Lulu took it as, ooh, these are things that I could do. So that's why she told her parents she liked it there. Because, Call Me Debbie said proudly, when they're finished with their stories, they tell all the sisters in training how sad and sorry they are that they ever did such things, how ashamed and guilty they feel for having done them, and how very much they wish they had treated their little brothers and sisters better. And then what happens? Lulu's dad demanded. And then, Call Me Debbie replied, all the sisters in training, well, almost all the sisters in training, understand how unhappy they feel about and how awful it would be to engage in a bad and beastly big sister behavior. Almost all the sits, Lulu's mom said nervously. Almost, yes, Call Me Debbie sighed. Because there's always somebody who listens to these stories and decides that she's hearing some really great ideas. And could that somebody, Lulu's dad asked nervously, possibly be somebody that we know named Lulu? Possibly, was Call Me Debbie's not so comforting answer. Let's just wait and see. All right, and tomorrow we're going to be looking at chapter 13 to see exactly what Lulu did with that information that she got from the campfire night. See you guys tomorrow.